My name is Josh Miller. I own Riverstone Kennels, and I've been training gun dogs for more than 16 years. I have field trialed, I've hunt tested, but at the end of the day, I'm a duck hunter. You might find that the duck in our Duck Dogs podcast is spelled uniquely. The UK stands for my British Labs. I love my British Labs. I love what they offer me, both as a part of my family and the high motor in the field. As you're going to find, I have some pretty special dogs. Follow along in our podcast series here as we talk about both in the field hunting and in the field training situations that will hopefully help you progress with your dog at home. Hey everybody, welcome back here to another episode of Duck Dogs. I'm going to do kind of my intro here in a minute, but this week I'm going to do something different. Okay, I'm going to bring in, you guys have heard me talk about Jacob, my training assistant here for the summer. I'm going to bring him in because I'm losing him in a couple weeks. I'm absolutely dreading that because he has been so fantastic. But I think that he doesn't know I'm doing this, and so I'm completely going to surprise him. He's probably going to be completely thrown off, which is great. I love that because it's going to be very genuine and authentic of what you guys are going to hear. But I want to bring him in and give you guys kind of a sneak peek or behind the curtain of a day in his life, of a training assistant. What does he do? What has he seen? And I want to talk about some of the things that he has learned throughout his time here over the summer, as he has said that he wants to come back next summer, and I'm ecstatic about that. But it's something that I want to kind of show you, the process of this, because I think one thing that I've seen is that there's more and more people that are reaching out, to me saying, hey, how do I get into this profession, or how do I build my business? Okay, you got to learn it first. This is not a profession that there is a degree or a diploma or something like that that says someone is qualified or not. So you have to go out there and you have to put the time in. Jacob started literally shoveling shit in the kennel, and he graduated up to last year he was doing property maintenance and kind of helping me with some things. This year he is my full-blown assistant because he has proved it. He has proved that he deserves that. It doesn't happen overnight. It is not something that you just jump into. So I want to bring him in here and kind of talk through that with you. So I will go get him, and we will start. All right. So today we're going to do something kind of fun and bring in a guest, which I've only ever had one guest on. If you remember back to the breeding episode that we did and kind of talking about the breeding program with Whitney. I'm bringing someone else on today, which is Jacob. And Jacob is my training assistant for the summer. And hopefully I get at least one more summer out of him. We'll try to get him to make that commitment here today. So I have something to leverage on him later on. But here's why I wanted to bring Jacob on. Is he has spent the summer seeing things in, I think, a very new light. He's seen the dogs, he's seen the training in a different manner in which maybe he had in the past. And I want to kind of get his insight on it because next week, I'm dreading next week. Next week is the week that I lose him as he goes back off to college. So let's talk. Let's bring Jacob in here. So Jacob,
yes,
say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
So Jacob, I know I threw you a curveball here. I know you did not expect to do this today. Actually, so when I ran up to go get Jacob, he was in the middle of unloading the trailer and putting another load of dogs in, and so I completely threw him off of his game of what he thought we were doing here this afternoon. But before we get too far into this thing, why don't you just tell us, who is Jacob Parent? Give everybody the 30,000 foot view, just the overview of who you are.
So I am going to be starting my sophomore year at Bethel University this next year. I really enjoyed my first year, but I'm a big sports guy, big dog person ever since I started working here. I have a dog of my own, love him to death. But yeah, I just love sports, love being around people. Have a lot of great friends that work here and other places as well. Just really enjoy being with people. And
Yeah, you're way too modest. You didn't talk about how you're a track star in college, which he is. As a freshman, what were you in the country for the 200 meter?
It was 400 meter.
I'm sorry, 400
yes,
meter.
I'm not a track guy. Yes,
okay?
That's my specialty. So I went to nationals in that. I was ranked 7th as I went in, and our relay team actually made it as well for the 4x4. But didn't have quite the end result as I would have liked, but we got 3 more years to go. A lot of goals to accomplish, so hopefully I can keep improving.
That's awesome. Well, we're all very proud of Jacob. We all cheer him on as we are, remote. Stuck at the kennel while he's traveling around. We definitely try to, tune into him. So let me ask you something, Jacob. So I know I'm catching you off guard. You're not ready for these questions, but I like that because I think they're going to be a little more off the cuff, a little more genuine. So how does when did you start working at the kennel? You were a junior in high school?
When Whitney was pregnant with Ava.
So
April of my junior year.
April of your junior year. Okay, so you're a junior in high school. How does a kid that doesn't have dogs, doesn't come from an outdoorsman family, had you shot a gun before working at the kennel?
Maybe once or twice, but it was nothing like I'd go hunting or anything like that. It was just maybe shot one in my backyard.
So how does a kid like that end up working at a kennel, let alone a gun dog kennel?
Well, one, I definitely needed a new job, but I thought the change of scenery would be nice. It was just something that kind of was a calling to me. Chloe actually reached out to me at school one day and said that Riverstone was looking for someone new, and I was like, I kind of like dogs, so maybe I'll give this a try. So I came in for the interview, got hired, and the rest is history. It's been a lot of fun. So,
okay, so I want to dig into this one step further because a lot of people come to the kennel, want a job because they quote unquote love dogs, right? But then they quickly understand that this is not, you're not puppy hugging for 6 hours a day, right? So, little background on Jacob. So Jacob started on our chore team, which meant he literally shoveled shit for the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So for 2 years, shoveled shit, scrubbed pens, cleaned everything that needed to be cleaned, all the not fun jobs. Okay, how did you make it through 2 years of doing that?
As cheesy as it may sound, I really liked the people. Like, it was fun because a lot of my friends worked here as well, so it wasn't just becoming closer with Whitney and Josh. It was Chloe was one of the people that worked here. Joey Kidder, who's one of my closest friends. Like, we'd make it fun. Like, even though shoveling poop might not be the most appealing thing, it'd be funny to laugh at the person when they get poop all over their arm or something like that. So, it was more fun than it was a chore, I would say.
So here's what I think is so cool is that what I've seen, and this is more not towards you, but just listeners out there. Look at Jacob. Look at what we just talked about. He spent 2 years shoveling shit and doing the jobs no one wants to do before he got the opportunity to do what he's doing now as a training assistant. Okay, this is, as I've talked about in the past, how frustrating it is to me that social media makes it to where people that have trained one dog and think that they enjoy doing this, all of a sudden they're quote unquote professional, right? Like Jacob has put, and I'm not saying Jacob wants to go be a professional dog trainer. He has way more talent and knowledge and everything else that it takes to be successful in this world and not have to be a dog trainer. But I think as you look at where we're going with this conversation, where I'm going to direct this conversation, is he has put in his time. He's put in his dues. He has understood, where the most basic fundamental, part of this whole thing comes from. And then he's worked his way through. Now he's literally handling advanced dogs with me. But that didn't happen overnight, and that didn't happen, just on a whim. And it didn't happen just because you quote unquote love dogs. There was a lot to this, and so that's why I wanted to kind of talk about that background. Is that it's interesting to me that someone like Jacob, held on for 2 years before he got an opportunity. And so looking back, when I called you were at school last, would have been winter. Mm-hmm. And I called you to ask if you would want to be my assistant trainer for the summer. So tell me about what went through your head when I offered you that.
I just thought it was cool. Like, I've seen how your other assistants have done it in the past, and it just looked pretty fun. And a step away from shoveling poop would always be nice. So, yeah, I jumped on it, thought it would be a lot of fun, and it's lived up to it so far this summer. So hopefully I'll come back next summer and do the same thing.
That's what I wanted out of this whole thing. We can stop this recording right now as long as I have that down. So what do you think your role is as a training assistant?
What I said before is just make Josh's life easier. So usually I get here every morning. Josh has already been awake for a couple hours, but he gives me the luxury of sleeping in. So I get here, wake up, go get the dogs right when I get here, start loading up the first set of dogs into the trailer, start setting up drills and everything while he's still working with his dogs down at the house. And then after that, we just get down here. I throw bumpers, help shuttle dogs back and forth. If he gets tied up with a phone call, I'll try and just make the most of that time to do something that, instead of just waiting and doing nothing, just trying to make his life easier.
Well, you definitely do that. And don't let, again, Jacob be too modest. Sleeping in sometimes is 5 a.m. that he gets here at the kennel. So sleeping in is not until he shows up at 9. It just means he doesn't start at 3:30 sometimes. So I go back. So the reason I ask about that phone call is because I go back and you said something to me on that call that I thought was really interesting. I want to talk about your mindset then versus your mindset now. So when I talked to you about that, you said to me, I really don't have any interest in training or being a trainer, right? And at the time, I remember my response was, you don't need to be. I just need someone I can depend on, I can rely on, that can help, set up teardown drills, that can help do all that stuff. And yet today was one of many days that I get hung up on a phone call and, turn around and there you are handling a dog on a drill. And you are doing everything that I would ever ask anyone that would handle a dog does. So how do you go from not having any interest of it at all to what you're doing today, which is literally take any dog, step up, and you could run, the most difficult blind or the easiest mark, with any of those dogs?
So I really gained interest with just being around the dogs more. It was really fun seeing how Josh would handle these advanced dogs with just like the blinds and stuff. I always thought since starting working here just how crazy it is that he can get these dogs to move left and right off just a hand signal. So I really just took the opportunity when he would get tied up to just jump in there and see what I could do for myself and really just make it easier again. Like, that's just pretty much what the job is, just make things easier on him. So
as it sits today, do you enjoy what you do? Do you come to work enjoying what you do? So I just think it's so neat for me in my position to have watched your progressions of going from, again, not coming from an outdoors background to now you literally shoot a gun every single day, every day. That you didn't have a dog background. Now you handle some of the most advanced dogs that you could find. It's really interesting to me that progression. And from my standpoint, I think a lot of this has to do with just simply your personality of you tend to step up when things are presented to you. You don't like to back down from challenges, and you're not someone that's going to skirt away from work. And quite frankly, with dogs, just like horses or any other animal for that matter, you're only going to get out of them what you put into them. And it's been really fun, for me to go from, thinking that you're never really going to handle a dog and I just need someone to take, set up, tear down, do that kind of stuff too. I know that I could hand you any one of my dogs and you'd be able to handle them probably just as well, as I could. So, I really, really like that a lot. So as we talk about your time here at the kennel, first off, let's kind of go very elementary. Who's your favorite dog?
As much as I do love the Brock and Herbie, if you remember before he got sent away, I gotta say my favorite dog is Sprig. He's a Sage and Brock puppy. He's just my little love bug. I love every time that he's here. I look forward to him coming in every time. We bond well.
So, well, when I say this, it always sounds sappy, but it sucks when dogs go home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it is kind of crazy how big of a part of your life they are when they're in. Sometimes it's easy to take for granted, right? I mean, Herbie's a great example. Mm-hmm. Herbie was like, we all loved Herbie, right? When Herbie was like, he just had this like infectious personality that you wanted to be with him. He wanted to be with you. He wanted to work. He was kind of a little bit of a jokester, as far as you'd push your buttons a little bit. But when he went home, like I vividly remember all of us being like almost depressed the next day.
Yeah.
He just wasn't the same. And I can say that about a lot of these dogs. And, it's fun to hear that from someone else just because, I talk about this a lot,
Yeah. Like even when I was getting trained in, Herbie was like, oh, look at Herbie. He's the dog that gives people hugs. And he would just gently come up and like wrap his little paws around you. And it was just the cutest thing ever.
And that had been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So here's a dog that we have not seen for 2 years, and we're sitting here talking about
Yeah.
it. I mean, that's how impactful these dogs are.
Mm-hmm.
It's really neat. So those are your favorite dogs, and I would totally agree. Loves Sprig to death. Awesome dog. Let's talk about your favorite level of dogs. So you have now seen the whole gauntlet, right? So you've seen everything from, bird and gun intro with the puppies to on-off lead obedience to intermediate through, whether it's table work or, intro to marks or, all the way through advanced. When you go through that whole progression, I think you're probably like a lot of people. You can appreciate each progression for what it is, but what is your favorite and why?
When I first started working here, I definitely would have said the puppies, like the little ones that Whitney just nurtures and stuff. Those ones are so cute. But as I've moved up the ranks here, I gotta say the advanced ones, just because you can see from the first time that they come in when they're just clueless and like innocent, and they just like you can just see the whole progression of how they move through all this stuff and how they've just improved, and it's really cool.
Yeah, I think you said something the other day that I'm going to say just for you because I thought it was really good, was you had mentioned how cool you thought it was that we took, I won't say the dog's name, but a dog that was really struggling through advanced work and got them through to the end to where we are running full blind retrieves. And you made a comment afterwards. You said, it's cool that we did that. And I think, to me, I think that's what's so neat about this is that, that you can take pride in your work. You can watch the development. You can see how it's going. So I want to ask you the flip side of it. What's your least favorite part of this job?
Of the job. Ooh. There's really not too much that I dislike. Some of the yard work chores can be a little taxing sometimes, but I mean, it gets made up for with just the people here and just like the bonding and the relationship that we have with everybody here.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot that we talk about obviously we spend all day, every day together. So we talk about a lot of, goals, that you have. For those of you that We'll be watching the Olympics here in the years to come. That is one of Jacob's goals, is to be running at the Olympics wearing that USA jersey. So when you guys see him on the podium with a medal, you can say, "Oh, I first heard him on the Little Old Duck Dogs podcast." But what I want to ask you, because we've talked so much over specifically this year, is over the time that you've been here, what are a couple of things you've learned? Whether they're life lessons, whether they're dog lessons, whether what are some things that you think that you are kind of holding on to, that you've absorbed from your time here at Riverstone?
One that I could start with is just like you said, I didn't come from a family with like dogs or anything. It's just that all these dogs have different personalities. They all operate so differently, and I never realized it before. Like even starting with chores, like you could, if there was 2 little black puppies out in one of the exercise groups, like I could just tell them apart based off how they would walk or their tail would stick a certain direction. Like they're all just different. They all have these little things about them that make them so unique. So I've always thought that was really cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is amazing that they all have their own little quirks, right?
Yeah.
Right. So go ahead.
I guess another thing would just be more so I learned this year, but that there's going to be like adversity and stuff through all this stuff. Like I'll compare it to sports or just life. It's how you're going to handle like all the mistakes. So Josh has been teaching me all these drills and stuff and like taught me how to run them. Like I didn't just figure it out one day, but like 5-point, for example, it's a drill that Josh will send like the owners home with a piece of paper telling them how to do it. And sure, anyone can do it, but it's not just the fact that you can do it. It's like how you handle when your dog is going to make a mistake. Like it's going to happen. And that's what I think makes Josh so good at this stuff, is that he stays calm. He does everything his own way that makes it, he handles the dog's mistakes in certain ways, and it really helps.
Yeah, that's something that Jacob and I especially we've talked about a lot. Just because I'm a big sports guy, he's a big sports guy. He obviously has very big dreams for his athletic career. And that's we've talked on this show a lot about just life lessons and what these dogs teach us. And I really think that that adversity piece is big. It's we're all gonna encounter adversity, but the outcome is how you respond to it. Yeah, and that's something that I didn't really dig too much into until Jacob made the comment to me. This was probably a couple of weeks ago now, that we're sending people home with the drills, we're showing it to them, but unless it is done the right way, or responded to the right way, or handled the right way, that drill is not going to be any good, mm-hmm. right? And so teaching the people is one thing, but they still have to go apply it. They still have to have the right approach and the right mindset, and don't bring the bad day you had at work into the training session. And that's one thing that I don't take. This is something Jacob and I have never really talked about, but I do not take him or the choice of having him as my training assistant lightly. I cannot have someone that is emotionally all over the place. I can't have someone that I can't trust. I can't have someone, there's a lot that I look at. One thing that I can honestly say with Jacob is that I can't think of a bad day that he has ever had. Now, you've probably had bad days, but you've never let that show. You've never let a dog, a client, myself know that you are struggling, know that you're frustrated or having a bad day or just not happy or overtired or whatever it is. And that is a talent. That is something that, one of the many reasons I think you're going to go be successful in whatever you choose to do. But it's something I think we should all keep in mind when you're working with your own dogs. It's not just the drill. It's not just, having the right color bumper. It's not just, it is how you go and use it. It's how you go apply it. It's how you respond to that mess up or that dog pushing your buttons. That is ultimately, what dictates your success. Same as life, right? It's no different than, you getting up doing your workouts. We talk about workouts a lot.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to go do that workout for you. And if you choose to skip today, there's someone else who wants to run the Olympics one day that is not skipping today. I think it's all really good stuff.
Yeah. Another thing I guess that I learned is patience. Just like we talked about, dogs will be pushing the buttons, and you can go at it that way, saying that the dogs are going to frustrate you and you just got to be patient, or you can go down the route of being patient with taking your time and like making sure that the dogs that we're working on is done right, and just taking our time on it is the fastest way to like getting the dog where we want him to go. So one example that I would say that we have in the kennel right now is Scout. He was just excelling with all the advanced work, and we easily could have pushed him to keep like moving through these drills so much faster, but we kept it slow. We did it all right and just kept him in line, and I think that that's what really led to his success in being such a machine now. Like, he's doing really, really well.
Yeah, it's fun to watch that. You said something there that I really liked. You said, I can't remember exactly how you put it, but you said something to the effect of that going slow or taking your time, I think you might have said, was
taking time is the fastest way to get where you want to go.
That is awesome. That, like, when we talk about like nuggets to take away, like, that's one to take away right there. I know I've always kind of said that going too slow is better than going too fast, but like that right there, I think puts it into perspective of taking your time, sometimes the fastest way to get to where you want to go. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Look at you, Mr. Astute.
Oh yeah.
So as you look towards the end of the summer, going back to school, you got to be looking forward to getting back to school, right? Hopefully more of a normal year, not the COVID year and everything else. What are there any goals that you have here going into, especially track season? Like, do you have things that are either written down or in your head that you're like, and you don't have to share them. Yeah, I know. Again, I'm throwing all these at him, very, curveballish, as he does know that they're coming. But are there any goals you are really striving for?
Definitely. I just want to keep bettering myself in track, but improving my GPA in school would be great as well. Like, I'm going to have a really tough semester coming up with a lot of credits, so just staying on task with that, not getting too distracted would be nice. But track is like where my head's really at with stuff. I just love athletics and everything, and can't wait to get back at it. I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you know that some of your biggest fans here are going to be sitting right back here and waiting for you to come back next summer.
Oh yeah.
Good. I wanted to bring Jacob in, for a number of reasons. Again, one, it just sucks that I'm going to lose him. I am not going to enjoy that part of it. He's been a huge help to me. I think if you have been a client that has been around the kennel here this summer, you've gotten to know and understand what a great person Jacob is. More than a great worker, more than a great track runner, more than a great athlete, great student, a great person. And that's something that I take a lot of pride in, is having him a part of the team betters me, betters everyone around. And I would just challenge you, Jacob, to continue to do that no matter what you're doing, is continue to elevate those around you and be the person who you are. So with that, I'm going to cut this off because we have work to go do.
Oh yeah.
We still have a lot that we have to get done today. So thank you guys for spending the week here with us. I will come back at you next week. Tear-felt because I won't have Jacob with me, or it'll be the last week. I'm sorry, yes. I do have one more week with you, so one more week. So I'll have one more week before I lose him. But hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Enjoy the week. Go elevate those people around you, and we will see you next week. Thanks for listening. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Leave us a review on iTunes, and a special thank you to Eukanuba, because without them, we couldn't do what we do here, bringing this information to you.